Alright, back after a long hiatus with the sequel pretty much nobody expected or really wanted, Shellshock 2. First off, I never played the first game. It came out several years back when there was a deluge of nom-themed games trying to take the place of all those World War II shooters, you remember that. And at the time I wasn't very interested in checking it out. Wouldn't have bothered with Blood Trails either, but for two things. One, I'm a cheap bastard and it's a budget title. Two, it has zombies in it. That's right, the first game was supposedly a realistic, and I say that in quotes, third-person Vietnam shoot-'em-up, while Blood Trails is a first-person horror game that happens to be set in Nam. The plot finds our hero character, an average Joe, embroiled in a conspiracy to create a better soldier. His brother Cal is a test subject for a project called White Knight, which involves a 28 Days Later style virus that transforms anyone it comes into contact with into rage-filled living zombies who shriek a lot, vomit blood, and try to tear anyone that gets too close to them limb from limb. The story's not very impressive overall, which is disappointing given the engrossing opening sequence. Still, it's reason enough to run through the jungle shooting pretty much anything that moves. So it's just too bad that the shooting isn't all that fun, thanks to some weapons that don't have much of a kick to them and an overall lack of variety. That and the fact that your uninfected foes seem to take just as many shots before giving up the ghost as your zombified enemies just don't add up to a fun FPS experience for the majority of the game. The war sequences have been done better a billion times over, going all the way back to the original Medal of Honor. Objectives too are stale, such as defending fortified locations from an incoming attack, or flat out running from point A to point B. Maps so linear that even outdoor environments seem like doomed corridors don't do the game any good either. Most of the game is set at night, which is cool. Most Nam games are chock full of blistering sunlight, but not so this one, which sets the appropriate mood. However, the gloom here drifts all too often from atmospheric into flat-out I can't fucking see where I'm going territory, even with your flashlight on. Not that the vast majority of the war-torn environments offer anything new to see, but still, there is a difference between mood lighting and just piss-poor visibility. Fortunately, things do begin to sort of turn around near the end of the game, especially when you find yourself traversing a mansion swarming with infected soldiers, and you get a few new weapons to deal with them, such as a shotgun and a revolver. The ability to blow off your opponent's limbs and bust open some skulls doesn't quite save the action in this game, but it certainly lends a helping hand. Just try not to run out of ammo because using the knife is a clunky affair, and fighting a zombie that's in your face with this weapon feels more like tediously chopping down a tree that happens to be trying to bite you at the time, and further darkening the screen with blood all the while. Yay. Quick time events are on my last nerve, and unfortunately they're here and accounted for. Slapped on, presumably because it was the trend at the time this game was in development. Not another mark in this game's favor. Blood Trail seems to be markedly improved from its much-hated predecessor, but it's still a mediocre game that manages to justify a playthrough only to the most die-hard and budget-conscious of shooter fans. At least a horror-themed Nam game is a novel concept at this point. If you're on hiatus from Left 4 Dead, there are worse ways to spend 20 or 30 bones. But there are better ones too.